So what would it take to get you to fly 5,600 kilometers, sit in 3 airports, and do 1 ferry crossing? Great scenery and a chance to escape a Canadian winter? No doubt that's tempting, but how about the chance to visit a resort built on the premise that human comfort, environmental sensitivity, and responsible consumption are compatible? Not only that, but that they would build a better vacation. So Maho Bay on St. John, U.S. Virgin Island is such a place. So 30 years ago, Stanley Selengut, who's a civil engineer by trade and was a consultant to the Kennedy administration and the Rockefellers, decided he needed a retirement project at the ripe old age of 44. So word got out on the island that there was this hardcore Manhattan developer building a resort, but the superintendent of the national parks, Robert Stanton, convinced Stanley that traditional construction was going to ruin the snorkeling that he so much loved on the island. And since the island was two-thirds national park, it seemed that a different type of resort was more appropriate. So Stanley started something very different. He built what you'd look at and call a tent, but it's a tent camp. And so instead of a lodge on the beach, there were tents amongst the trees. So he started with 14 acres of land and 18 tents. Now there's 114 different tents and the Harmony Studios. So the tents are built on stilts, and to get between tents, you use the walkways. And these boardwalks, which are raised off the ground, protect the environment, and they also give a place to put the different utilities. 20,000 people visit Maho Bay every year, so it's proof that it's been very successful. One of the neat things about Maho Bay is the Trash to Treasure program. Stanley wanted to come up with a way to deal with all the trash that was generated by the business, seeing as how there is no recycling program on the island. What happens is that they take the glass that comes from beer bottles and other glass containers, melt them down, and turn them into pieces of art. This wasn't as easy as it looks. The early years had lots of trials and errors, but now you can see it's been a very big success. It's hard to resist buying some of these pieces of art, which is how you come to be taking trash home in your suitcase, but you can also feel good knowing that this Trash to Treasure program saves 20 tons of trash from ending up in the garbage. It melts 32,000 bottles each year, and it generates more than $200,000 a year, which helps pay for staff and power for the facility. So St. John, to a certain extent, is a victim of its own success. With over 1 million tourists coming every year, land is being gobbled up for development. So what used to cost $15,000 an acre in the 1980s now costs $8 million an acre, which is why you see these honking big houses. And unfortunately, looks like why Maho Bay will cease to exist next year, because they are unable to renew their lease as developers are trying to sell the land that they sit on for more of a profit, which is too sad. So what to do? Well, if you have 25 million laying around, maybe you could buy the land under Maho and save it. But if you're not in that category, the next best thing, I guess, is to get there and enjoy it before it's all gone. Because really, it is a very special, special place.